Welcome, and thank you for joining us at the National Civil Rights Museum. And thank you for watching our Imagine in America podcast. I'm here with Mrs. Xernona Clayton, who is a civil and human rights activist, as well as working with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She herself has been trailblazing a leader in civil rights and broadcasting for over 60 years. Welcome, Mrs. Clayton.
Well, that 60 really sounds old.
Ms. Clayton, what does it mean to be honored with the National Civil Rights Museum's Freedom Award?
Oh, I think it's an indescribable moment for me. I've been in the struggle for a long time. And when you're working in the field, trying to right the wrongs, you don't give a thought to, will I get honored for this? Will I be on television? Will I be a star? Those are not the things you think about. You think, is my role important enough to make a change in the conditions we hope to change? And that's what I feel, that what I've been doing might have been helpful, but you never can tell. You know, these are turbulent times for us. It's hard to measure where we've made progress, and if you've made progress, you don't feel like it's been what you wanted. And sometimes a little bit is better than nothing, but we've had nothing so long that maybe we'd like to have something else. But I just keep doing it. I don't measure whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I must play a role in what my freedom means to me and those who look like me.
Yes, ma'am. Tell us a little bit about what it meant to you to begin your journey in broadcasting, and how do you feel that legacy of all the incredible things that you've accomplished means to today?
Well, first, I'm very grateful that the good Lord has put me in positions that I've been able to participate in the fight for freedom. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to meet the people who were meeting the struggle every day. Working with Dr. King was an indescribable period of my life. I never would have thought that. Had I planned my future, I wouldn't have said, oh, I'm going to work with Dr. King. You would never do that. And here now, in retrospect, I've had that moment when I would hear him talk about what we're going to do. I'd hear him and watch him plan what the next plan of attack would be to try to bring us freedom. And then I got a chance to see him leave us on this earth. And then I'm wondering, is it all over? Is it going to end because he's gone? These are questions you can't help but ask yourself. Then the answer's pretty clear. I must keep on going.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got to finish what he couldn't finish. And I find that that's what my life is about now. Trying to hopefully finish. There's so much. The finish is so trying. Yeah. It looks like we take, 3 steps forward and 6 backwards, because that's what kind of times we live in. That everybody's not interested in giving freedom to everybody. And so as long as you got people who are stubborn about it, resistant to it, unable to participate in it, then we got to keep going.
You were speaking about Dr. King, and as working with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, you think of the names, the Dr. Kings, the Reverend Ralph Abernathy's, the Andrew Youngs, and so many other. What was the role for women in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and how do you feel that women getting that opportunity to be in that position of power, what's that mean for today?
Well, when I first joined the movement for me was I moved from Los Angeles, California to Atlanta at the request of Dr. King. And he knew me best as an organizer and people who would get things done. And I thought I was coming to march and suffer beatings like everybody else did. But he really was a man who didn't want the women in harm's way. And there were other things that we could do that were very, very important. Prepare the men. Once they got thrown in jail, we had to go find bail money. to get them out. So we were begging all the time for support, financial support. They would get hungry. We had to feed them. So there were women who could cook. And so the roles were really tremendous for women. People thought we were just, looking and watching the marches, but we were busy. And we just didn't do the kind of in the street work initially. We later did, but initially Dr. King just did not want us to be thrown in trees and left for dead. And he couldn't take that. He was a man who was married with children, two women, daughters and two sons. And so he had a feeling that we can do this. We men can do this. So he kept us out most of the time because he didn't want us harmed in that fashion. So we did a lot of things that were support systems that were absolutely necessary, but they weren't the same, dangerous moments that the men faced every day.
Sure. When you came up with the concept of the Trumpet Award, what was your primary objective for presenting this accolade to so many folks in our community?
Well, if you did a poll of, do you know this person? Do you know that person? You go down the list of the people you know, and it's probably an assurance that we'd find you didn't know many of the names that you heard. We as black people knew so little about the tremendous talents and the tremendous work that our black brothers and sisters were facing, that it would just, stymie you. We have people that have done wonderful things. We don't know anything about them. So our history was derelict in recording the contributions. And I use one example. There was a time in our society when you couldn't get blood at hospitals or emergency situations because they wouldn't use black blood. And then you couldn't preserve blood, and so you couldn't get much. And so people were often dying for lack of blood. And yet a black man came up with a system for preserving blood. But guess what happened? After he made it possible through his own mental agility to put blood in available and accessible places, he went to Florida from Chicago. He lived in Chicago. And while on the medical trip, the car had an accident that the doctors were driving. And this doctor was severely injured in the accident. They had to rush him to the hospital. And the only thing the doctor said at the hospital, the only thing to save him would be blood. When they found out he was black, they wouldn't even give him blood, and he died. That's a sad story. But when you think about it, here was a man who discovered something that would help everybody, anybody, all people. Whoever needed blood could get some because this man made it possible to make it accessible and available on the shelves of hospitals and medical centers. And he died because his color prevented him from receiving the blood.
Yeah.
So there's so many stories that are comparable to that I wanted to have some way of people learning our history, because this is not the kind of stuff you read every day. So I created a program called Footsteps. So the Civil Rights Walk of Fame is something I came up with. And so in Atlanta, I installed people's footprints who made real big footprints in our society. Yeah. And I'm so proud of it.
Thank you for that. Children, young people played such a pivotal role in the advancement of the civil rights movement, where they were integrating schools in once segregated communities, where they were marching on behalf of their parents in places like Birmingham and Albany, Georgia. When you look at this generation now, what advice would you give young people for wanting to get involved in social justice movements?
Well, my first advice to them is find out what really happened in our history. Learn the history. Know the history. You then are in better shape to deal with the present when you know the history, when you know that our color has been a problem for us. We have no reason to be mistreated except the fact we're black. And if you don't know that, you can't figure out, why am I not available and accessible to the wonderful things in life? You know, why am I denied opportunities? If you knew, you wouldn't have to ask. We were denied the right to freedom in a society where they said all men are created equal. And that didn't mean us. And if you don't know that, then you don't know why we're having problems.
Sure. What do you contribute to your longevity in the fight for freedom and justice?
Well, I think we just have to, it's pretty simple. You just keep on working till you solve the problem.
Sure.
And until the problem is solved, we got work to do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you out there for joining us with the National Civil Rights Museum's Imagine in America podcast. Please continue to follow us on our social media networks and continue to follow us at civilrightsmuseum.org. Thank you, Mrs. Clayton.
My pleasure.
Today's episode is brought to you by the National Civil Rights Museum, located at the Lorraine Motel, the assassination site of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It chronicles key episodes of the American Civil Rights Movement, examines today's global civil and human rights issues, provokes thoughtful debate, and serves as a catalyst for positive social change.